Hey, I'm Sean Jones. Peace, family.
All right, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us a very special guest. He's been on this show several times, but we always enjoy him coming on because he always gives it to us the way it is. He always tells us the truth, and you know, a lot of times this is information that we need to hear. So we have with us tonight our friend, Brother J.C. Shegard. Brother JC, man, thank you for coming on
thank you for inviting me.
Because we really need this. There's so much happening, and so we're gonna get to everything. But you know, there's so much happening right now that we need the information, and we know that information is power, and we know that you have the information. But there's a lot we're gonna get to tonight.
Yes, sir. There is a lot we're gonna get to. First of all, I want to get to this. Happy belated Father's Day, gentlemen. It was good.
Likewise, my brother.
It was good kicking it Sunday at the, well, no, it wasn't Sunday, it was Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, at the Juneteenth celebration.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, that was a good time there. I was watching the news, and Brother JC, we are so glad you are here because I have questions. Okay. And when you have these kinds of questions, it's best to ask someone who knows the answer, professional. So thank you for being here. Got a question. I wonder if the definition for resisting arrest has changed. And the reason I say that is I was watching the news the other day, and there was another case where a black man was beaten unmercifully by 7 LA County deputy sheriffs, right? And what happened was he was pulled over for allegedly straddling the line. Okay. Okay. Right. And that could have maybe been a little bit, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? Okay. So he was pulled over for that, and then he subsequently got his beating because he was resisting arrest. He was resisting arrest. Now, in a later interview with the guy, you know, all healed up and everything, he was saying, and his lawyer said that he did everything that the officers command you to do. And nowadays, we know to listen to them and do what they say do. You know, he did everything, but he was resisting arrest. So they beat him till the guy was disfigured. When I looked at the guy, he's black and blue. You can see the dark, and he looks like a monster. So disfigured. All right, swollen, sir, swollen.
Emmett Till situation.
Like an Emmett Till situation. So, so my question is, what is resisting arrest? I mean, you know, I don't want to do that.
Well, let me paint a picture for you. Typically, situations like this happen when the officer or officers already have an attitude, right? It's going to start out with an attitude, a bad disposition, a prejudgment, a profiling. It's going to start out like that. And then what's going to happen is they're going to ask you to exit the vehicle. Now, if he was swerving and there was no odor of the alcohol or illegal substance in order to justify him being pulled out of the vehicle, he didn't say, I'm pretty sure he didn't say, well, officer, do you want me to exit the vehicle?
Right.
You know, so they had to give him the command. And all it took from after that was, why? Why do you want me to get out? If all I did was swerve, write me a ticket and let me go.
And you know what? That's actually, to me, that's a legitimate question because that's probably the first thing that I would think and I would ask. Why?
But when you have a God complex, you don't ask me no questions. You do what I say, when I say, how I say. See what I'm saying? So situations like that, when you, because now we look at the ending. So this is typically how it begins. Officers with God complexes. Right? Why should I get out? You know? If I hadn't did anything, you don't have any probable cause from removing me. Why? I said get out. And if you don't get out, I'm going to arrest you. Arrest me for what? Not obeying a lawful order. But you have to have probable cause and reasonable suspicion in order to back that lawful order. You just can't tell somebody to do something and you don't have either both or one of those where you can articulate. And they didn't. This is why they charged him with resisting, because after they beat him, because I'm just painting a picture. I'm not telling you all this is what happened. I'm telling you this is what typically happens. So they beat him out the vehicle. They beat him outside the vehicle. And then they say, we're going to have to justify this. I know a catch-all, resisting arrest. That's the catch-all. When you don't move quick enough, if you're saying something they don't want you to say, if you are trying to exercise your rights as a U.S. citizen.
But that's gotta only be when you're black, because that's all it gotta be only when you're black. We have a caller.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, this is John, man. These police officers is just like athletes. They go in the gym, they work out, and they on these steroids. And when a person is on steroids, it's just like being on ecstasy. When you're on steroids and you got hate in your system, you got racism in your system, these steroids pump your behavior. They pump your behavior. So I tell my kids, keep mouth shut. I can come get you out of jail. I can't get you out of the grave. Because these are monsters. These police officers need to be drug tested. There would be drugs in their system. They may not be on heroin or cocaine, but these steroids and things that they are on, it just as works as the rest of these drugs. And as soon, it don't take much to kick them off. And once you kick them off, they become monsters. And when one or two do something, they got that mob mentality also working with this drug. So we need to be more careful how we encounter them, because it's just like you encounter a bear or a tiger. I mean, you have to just be careful and know you ain't gonna win. And like you said, but still, there ain't gonna be no consequences for it, because that's the way the system is. That's that y'all.
Thank you so much, caller, for calling in. Thank you so much for those comments. I guess there's some who.
I mean, it's a medical, scientific fact that steroids do make you more aggressive.
And that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
It is. That's a truth.
Well,
I agree with it.
Right.
But not all of them use steroids. Right. In my opinion, it's mostly cultural. It's a cultural thing. Yeah. It's not that they are aggressive all the time. It is a selective aggressiveness. So, I mean, all you got to do is look at history. Just look at history. History will show it. So, it's a selective aggressiveness. And like he said, I can come and get you out of jail. I can't get you out the graveyard. So, your number one goal is to survive the encounter.
Well, let me ask you this, JC. So say, I'm in an encounter like that. What would you advise? How would you advise me, not resisting arrest?
If you're not resisting arrest and you're being pummeled, there's only really two things you can do. You can brave it, and hopefully you live, or fight back.
Well, let me ask you this. All right, before I get to me being pummeled, before that part, how can I avoid being pummeled?
It depends on the officer. Some officers, they are looking for a strike. they looking to beat somebody up. And you can tell who that officer is because the way that they are approaching you. He's not going to let you do nothing right. Nothing you do is going to be right to him.
Is it a way to disarm them? When I say disarm, I'm not talking about physically.
Right, like verbal judo or something like that.
Verbal judo or because I think a lot of times also how we talk to a person can change a situation. Right.
And typically it can. But you remember the shooting of the 15 or 16-year-old that was attempting to stab the other person and the officer shot in the back.
Yes.
And people kept saying, well, he should have de-escalated. He should have tried de-escalation. Well, in order for de-escalation to work, the other person has to listen. All right?
True that.
So if you're trying to de-escalate an officer, he has to listen. And if he doesn't listen, now you have to have the wherewithal to recognize that, okay, this is where he want to go. And I value my life. I value my life over any BS you bring to me. And I'm going to protect it with every fiber of my being.
So you would suggest listen to the officer's commands, and I say that it reminds me of one time I got stopped, and officer came to the thing, and I knew he was gonna stop me. I was on Lishy, right? You know, and so he came to the vehicle, and he said, "Okay, I see you have a handgun." He says, "Without reaching for it, tell me where it's at." And my first instinct when he said, I think he said, "Show me where it's at." My first instinct was to reach back there,
right?
But I remember he said, "Without reaching for it,"
right?
So you would advise. I'm asking that we listen,
right? That was a lawful command. Matter of fact, he was trying to help you.
Yeah, I know.
He was trying to help you because you do not grab a weapon while in the presence of an officer that is confronting you for whatever reason. That is his justification or her to use deadly force. Right. And deadly force is serious bodily injury or injuries that are known to end in death. So if you grab for a weapon in the presence, then you have gave the officer the green light to shoot you.
So let because a lot of times, people hear stuff, but I want to kind of put it in a way that people can get it. So let's say officer pull up. He says, "Sir, do you have any weapons?" Or he run your tag or your license, and he sees that, okay, you have a handgun permit. He know that you carry a weapon. What do you say when he say, "Do you have a weapon?" What do you do? Do you say, "Yes, it's in the glove compartment," or do you say when he comes, "Officer, I have a weapon in the car"? Well, how do you handle that situation?
Well, you keep your hands 10 and 2, and you answer his questions. No more, no less. If he said, "Do you have a weapon?" "Yes, I do." And that's it. If he asks, "Where's the weapon?" Keeping your hand 10 and 2, the weapon is located on my right hip, left hip, in between the seats, in the glove box, in the center console, underneath the seat. Wherever it's located, you say, not point, not reach, you say where it's located. And then that's that until he asks another question.
Or gives a command, huh? Yeah, I guess.
And that's how you avoid doing too much.
Now, does that give him the right to search your car?
No, because you're legal possession. That is not you're not disobeying any laws. If you are under a legal umbrella, there is no justification for a search.
So that being said, because I know January 1st is coming, where the state has just said that anybody who is able to carry a gun can carry a gun.
Right.
If you're not a felon or if you don't have some domestic issues, you can carry a weapon for the most part. And so if you are dealing with an officer, and now we are in a state that says I can have a weapon. Again, how do we? Is it the same thing, or is this something different, that something that we're not seeing that we need to be looking out for?
Well, even right now, if you are old enough to purchase a weapon legally, you can carry a weapon right now without a handgun permit in your vehicle. Okay, so what you're talking about applies to right now.
Okay.
All right. You're talking about outside the vehicle after July 1st. But see, right now, it's called the extension of the Castle Doctrine. And with the extension of the Castle Doctrine, whatever you have at home, you can have in your car as long as you are in legal possession of the weapon and the car. If the weapon is yours and you are in legal possession of the car don't necessarily have to be yours, but you have to be in legal possession of it. But the weapon should be yours.
All right. You all, if you're listening on WVOL, please tell a friend, because this is important information that can save your life. If you have a young son, a 21-year-old son, a young son or daughter, this is the information that can save their life. So what we want to do, we want to give the number out. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, we have with us our friend and our brother, J.C. Shegod, and he has been doing training for a long time. And so if you have any questions, feel free to call. Call in at 615-227-1470. Or you can call in at 615-737-9865. And that's anywhere for the state of Tennessee, correct?
Yes.
So if you're on Facebook and you're watching in Memphis or Jackson or wherever, then feel free to call in 615-227-1470.
Yeah. You know, JC, I guess this particular case, all of the cases that we've seen have affected me, all of them.
Yes, sir.
And this one just kind of hit home, I guess, because of the way I saw that they beat the guy. And then afterwards, the guy was saying, you know, I did everything, I'm a nice guy. And, you know, I thought about brothers like us, you know, and that's why I was, you know, curious as to what can we do to save our lives. And like you just said, really don't do any more. Listen to their questions, or, you know,
listen to what they're saying.
Yeah,
right. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to their tone. Don't be so defensive. Don't get so emotional just because you got stopped.
Yes.
You're going to get stopped at some point in time if you are driving or if you're riding with somebody in the vehicle. You're going to get stopped. Keep your cool. Because depending on who stopped you, they may try to rattle you. They may say something off-brand to you. And you're going to look shocked and you're going to get upset and you're going to, man, who you talking to?
You don't have to talk to me like that.
You ain't talk to me like that. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. Don't do that. Because now you are where they want you. You got to remain cool until, what my man say on that movie, was it Pulp Fiction? He said, be cool till it's time not to be cool.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
So I got an idea that I've been having, you know, in my head, that I was wondering, what do you think by utilizing this idea? Because I've noticed how, you know, in the Miranda rights it says, you know, you have the right to remain silent because everything you say can and will be used against you. Not for you, against you.
Right.
So I have the right to remain silent. And if I understand the pleading the Fifth, or the Fifth Amendment, that's pretty much saying that I'm not obligated to help them with their investigations.
You are not. You are not. A lot of drivers say, I do not answer questions without my lawyer, officer. Because, you know, they'll say something like, where you going? Where you coming from? I do not answer questions without my lawyer. And
couldn't that lead to trouble, though? You know, if you're saying that to them, and then they say, oh, hey, we got one here. You know?
All you got to do is remain cool. Remain cool remain cool and
the problem.
say it. I'm sorry.
Don't be nervous.
Look,
Right.
I'm sorry, officer. I don't answer any questions without my
My
lawyer.
lawyer. Lord have mercy.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't answer any questions without my lawyer. Here's my driver's license, my registration, and my proof of insurance.
And so what I was going to get to is, you notice how humans naturally, when they're in confrontation with some opposition or opponent, and it gets physical, it usually ends once the other person is completely done. Or we could call that playing possum.
Right.
Is there any way where that strategy would work when it gets escalated to where I just flat out go mannequin on them and play possum?
You remember, I can remember at least 4 movies right now where they say, look at him, he just playing, when he was for real. When the person was like really unconscious or really dead.
Right.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't play possum. I wouldn't do that.
Oh,
because I was just wondering if there's any kind of way to de-escalate it by just flat out.
Because there's no sympathy.
Right.
There's no empathy.
Right.
No.
Eugene, I can't believe you really asked.
No, I mean, but some people think like, but it's a strategy. It's a strategy. And all I'm saying is that I wouldn't suggest that strategy. I'm not going to say it ain't going to ever work. Right. I'm just going to say that typically it won't work.
Right. Because of who we're dealing with.
Because of the mentality of the culture in which we are battling.
Eugene, you mean just like passing out? Just
no, like you say, playing possum.
You know, just
pretending to be.
Well, I have another question. When we look at the climate today, because right now the climate is not such. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but when you look at a lot of police departments, I know a lot of people are quitting because things are not quite the way they used to be.
Exactly.
And you don't see probably as many arrests or frivolous arrests as you used to get. So with the climate being what it is today, do you think things are going to get worse, or like how do you?
I think that in this transition phase that's going on, as long as the administrators in the police department double down on justice, on the trained individual being held accountable, and the legal system behind them start making examples of those quote-unquote bad apples, then you're going to have situations like the one that you talked about earlier with those that are still on that are resentful and upset and figure, let me get this last good one in, because they pretty much can bank on probably getting fired.
Okay.
Well, I know one person
We have a caller.
A caller?
Yeah, so we'll take the caller.
Caller, go ahead.
How you doing? Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you, sir?
I was good. I was listening to the part of the conversation about just playing possum, and brother JC Chicago was absolutely right that I wouldn't advise that. I was former law enforcement, even worked as a training officer in the field and at the academy for years. What you're describing in law enforcement could be called passive resistance. And the key word is that they still call it resistance, and so it might not get the desired outcome. So,
exactly.
When he says comply, do your best to, because sometimes we can't control the motivation of the officer. So what we can do is just do our part to try to make it as safe as possible. And so passive resistance can still be met with some level of force. And since the whole point is to try to get the force to stop, just do whatever you can to show them compliance. But passive resistance doesn't often work
because they're still going to say there's a form of resistance.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I just want to put that part out there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for calling.
Dangerous for us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for calling me.
No
Yeah.
problem, gentlemen. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. That's my man right there.
There's another question, and this question came online by Anton. It says, how does being registered to carry a gun and knowing how to properly use it translates to reduce violence? I'm sure it makes a difference.
If you attended the class, there's a video of the director of public safety, and he said that the handgun permit course is designed to give the citizens of Tennessee the ability to fight crime.
Oh my.
Now, this is crime that is being enacted upon the individual, not you going out being Batman, Spider-Man, you know, some kind of vigilante. This is you being able to meet with the highest form of confrontation, okay, in a illegal or criminal act, okay? So that is the purpose of it, to reduce crime. If everybody is carrying, or the majority of people is carrying, then the mentality is the criminal is going to have second thoughts about trying to rob or steal or break in, so on and so forth.
That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe the criminal think I'll just come with a bigger gun. I'll just come harder. You know what I mean? You know. But I do see that logic, and that's actually what I thought. I thought too. I said, well, if they think that, you know, this person is probably carrying, you know, then I don't know. And then I thought about it again. I said, no, just find another way to do it.
Right, you know, ambush style, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of them are doing. They're doing the ambush style where you don't have time to respond.
Right.
But that's only if you're in a, what we call a condition white. And in a condition white, you're oblivious to your surroundings. You know, if you in public, you're doing something private or semi-private in public, and you're not paying attention to your surroundings. And this is what they look for: people that's not, you know, that's not having any situational awareness.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
You gotta keep your head on the swivel.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you just never know what's going on around you, and you just never know what's lurking.
That's right.
And the only way to really try to be a step ahead is to just check your surroundings, no matter where you are, what you got going on. And we all know to have your back against the wall or pointed towards the door, and you know, for those reasons, just so you can see what's going on in front of you.
There's a saying I say at the end of each of my shows: pay attention or pay the consequences. You're going to pay either way. So you might as well pay attention, because you might not be able to afford paying the consequences.
Brother JC, let me read a comment. Miss Miko Osborne Jones. Miss Miko Jones, she says, always ask, she works with the Sheriff's Department in Williamson County. She said, always ask them to turn their body cam on at the beginning of an interaction. So that's a good suggestion. I didn't think about that.
I didn't realize that you could ask them to do that.
To turn
I mean,
body
you can
cam
ask them to do anything.
Whether they do.
Ask them to leave me alone.
Right.
Yeah. But
When them blue lights come on, you need to have your cam on, and you or on the phone with somebody that can be an ear witness, if not an eyewitness.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, to the stop.
I'm going live.
You know,
Boom.
exactly.
Boom, hey everybody.
Exactly, because you can ask them anything.
Right.
You know, you can ask them to, you know, turn around and do a 360 and do the splits.
Okay, right.
But that don't mean they gonna do it.
Excuse me, sir. Would you turn your body cam on, please?
Right, and he may gesture like he's doing it, you know, and not necessarily do it.
Right.
You know, how you know what kind of body cam he got on? How you know the sound it makes when it comes on? Each body cam is different, you know, as far as department-wise.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's a good suggestion.
it is a very good suggestion,
Thank you.
and it's also a good what I call speed bump. If they moving too fast, you give them a speed bump.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Is your body cam on? Can you make sure your body cam on, please? Just to slow him down. You know, because he or she may be trying to build up a head of steam.
Yeah.
You know, you slow them down. Remind them that you're a professional and that you need to be operating in a professional capacity. But some of them don't care.
Yeah.
This is why, like, those officers beat him, let him live, and just walked away.
Just walked away.
Like, oh well.
Yeah.
Like there was not going to be any type of
Right.
recompense or repercussions.
Right. You know. So the county's being sued now. You know, they're at least trying to sue.
Yeah,
the
they're
county.
always being sued.
Oh, yeah, really? See,
Always
yeah.
That's part of it. You got a
LA
budget
County
for
too,
Yeah.
always
LA,
being sued.
LA. Yeah.
Always being sued, especially for that. You know,
Wow.
he shouldn't settle. He should go to court. See, I know they're gonna throw a nice big number he probably ain't used to in his face. No, he should take it to court and make them hemorrhage money to where they so mad at them officers where they fire them and decommission them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most definitely.
You know.
Hey, listen, everybody. We got J.C. Shigog here with us tonight. A good friend of ours. He owns his bodyguard business. I mean, the man, the security business, everything. I can't even say it all, you know. But very qualified, a former police officer, right?
Current.
Okay, sorry, see there. So, yeah. So, we got him here tonight. So give us a call. We're talking about resisting arrest. You know, what is it? And all the things that tend to happen to us when we're stopped by the officers. Give us a call here at WVOL at 615-227-1470.
So I have a real quick question. Let's say people who already have their gun permit. You know, now of course we're going in and out from one subject to the other. So now we're going to talk about the new law that is on the books. So for people that already have that gun permit, is it still good to get your permit even though this law is coming into effect July the 1st?
Good question.
Yes. If you plan on doing any traveling outside the state of Tennessee and you want to be able to carry to a reciprocal state, then you have to have a gun permit for that. The permitless carry law is a Tennessee law. It's a Tennessee law. It's not a national law. I know there's this thing called the constitutional carry, but we're not under the banner of constitutional carry. We're under the banner of permitless carry in Tennessee, which is going to be a law. And if it is a law, then that law can be enforced. So you have to know that law in order to be justified in carrying under that law. You can go to jail if you're not abreast, knowledgeable of that law. You need to be knowledgeable of that law, because if you are not, see, because now underneath the permitless carry law, a lot of your gun crimes have been enhanced. So now what was a misdemeanor is now a felony. And what was a felony is a high felony. So if you think you can just go by and carry, it's really a slippery slope. You still need to be educated. And if you refuse to be educated in the beginning, they're going to educate you. You're going to get educated right before you go to court. You know, when you stand with your lawyer trying to figure out should I, take a lesser plea.
And one thing I want our brothers and sisters, especially our younger brothers and sisters who may not know this. So a lot of us, a lot of times we'll go and buy a gun off the streets not knowing if it's stolen. So basically, What he's saying is if that gun is stolen, then that penalty just went up.
Oh.
So instead of if you're 18 years old, keep in mind if you
21.
I'm gonna start with rifles first with the rifle situation. You can go and buy a rifle at the age of 18.
Where?
In the state of Tennessee. Is
Really?
That, yeah.
I thought I was all 21.
Unless it
Handgun,
changed.
shotgun, rifle.
No, unless it changed. You know, but I'll look it up just to be safe before we get off the air.
Okay.
But even at the age of 21, instead of you going and buying it from Nuck Nuck or whoever you may have thought to buy it from, you know, go to a place where you can go through your background checks and get everything legally, especially if you don't have a felony or you don't have a domestic or something that will keep you from being able to buy and legally purchase a firearm. And that will be one of the things that will help you stay out of prison, not just jail. Because, like I said, on July the 1st, the penalty changed. Things changed. So to stay out of prison, go and buy them at a legal spot and get the background checks, the necessary checks, and then, you know, do what you like. But in the meantime, you know, I just want to save us from that because I know a lot of us do it. And I hear people talking, you know, can you sell me something? Or what can I buy something? Man, go and get yourself right and you don't have to worry about it.
Right?
Gun shops, pawn shops are legal spots to purchase firearms. So you definitely want to be legal. You know, there is no gun registration process in Tennessee where you got to go and register your gun. All right. But that gun definitely can't be reported stolen, and it definitely can't have any crimes on it.
So I got a question. So if there's a situation to where I buy a gun off the streets, not knowing whether or not it has any crimes tied to it, but once I purchase it, I take it upon myself to create a bill of sale. So I can show that I tried to legally purchase it from the assumed owner.
Right.
And if there's anything to that weapon, would that cover me if anything was to come up my way?
Yes, that is a type of coverage. If you can have a certain information, a certain amount of information that would be able to track to who you purchased it from, then yes, you know, now they can say, okay, you bought this gun under good intention,
right?
Okay, good faith. You good faith purchased this, thinking that this was legitimate from this particular person,
right?
And yes, so
that
that definitely helps.
Well, I think we got a caller. Caller, go ahead.
How y'all doing again? It's me, John Mosley again. This time I'm calling from my former private defense attorney where I had multiple clients that faced charges because they bought guns off the street and they had no prior convictions, no felonies, no domestic violence charges. So they could have gone into a pawn shop, a gun store, or anywhere and bought a gun. And what often happens is they just street say, hey, you know, so-and-so's selling, and they go get it, and they pay the same price, if not more. My clients actually paid twice as much for guns off the street that got them in trouble. They would have paid at a pawn shop legally that would have done a check, saw they were okay, and gave them a better weapon. So I just wanted to reiterate that because I've seen it cost our people.
Yes, sir.
Just because we just don't know. We don't think anything of it. Found a gun, okay, just buy it from dude I know off the block. But that doesn't work. If we just get it from the store, they're going to do the check. And even if you don't pass, it doesn't cost you anything. Don't get in trouble for trying to get it legally. So I just wanted to reiterate that point.
Good point.
It's going to cost you to get a lawyer if you don't do it that way.
Right.
Wow. Very good point. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Back. Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
So when it comes to purchasing a weapon, now, what are some of the things that could get in a person's way and to where when they try to purchase a weapon, they're being denied? Because I'm going through a situation to where a person with a carrying permit is being denied at the store. And I'm trying to see, how does that work?
Well, a lot of times it's what I call digital mistaken identity. Somebody with the same name has criminal charges, right? And then now they have to dig deeper. Now they gotta, cross the T's and dot the I's. Even though you put your birthday and social security number there, the first thing that's gonna match up is the name.
Right.
And then you're gonna be initially denied if that person has a record
tied to our name.
To our name.
Are they obligated to let you know why you were denied?
Not the store itself. You have to contact the process that came back saying that you wasn't good, and then you investigate that, and then what happens is once that's taken care of, then you should be good at that point forward.
Okay. At every location that you end up going to after that?
Right, that uses that particular service, like what I believe is called TICS.
Okay.
Tennessee Identification something. So
what they just call background checks, basically.
Exactly. For gun purchases.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, when it came to my attention, I was just like, it just really don't make sense for someone with a permit to not be able to go and get something for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, the system isn't flawless, so you'll run across stuff like that. And then also, that person may not tell you that since they got the gun permit, they've done something or been to court since then.
Okay.
So now you're looking at convictions of misdemeanor domestic violence. You're looking at orders of protection and felonies. So those things will prevent a person from purchasing or being able to purchase a weapon.
Also, if you have like a form of mental illness, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. But that has to be known.
Yeah.
Got to be known. Yeah. And a lot of times those two systems don't communicate because of HIPAA laws and stuff like that.
Another thing, it just completely slipped my mind on.
You know what?
That quick.
Okay, well, I'll jump in before mine slips. I had a guy to Melvin Brown, if you're listening, I wish you would call in. I know you're on Facebook, and I can't find your question again. But JC, he was saying he really doesn't want to carry, doesn't want to, but he almost feels like he should, because you're going to have so many people carrying. The gangsters, I think he said, they're going to be carrying anyway.
Well, right, they're carrying anyway, so they don't care nothing about
and
laws.
so what do you think about that? Even though the brother says, I don't necessarily want to carry, but maybe I should just
think about anyway. Well, like me, one of the hats I wear is risk analysis, risk management, threat assessments. If you're going to prepare, you prepare for the worst case scenario. And that worst case scenario is somebody pulling a gun or shooting at you. And if you don't have something equal to that, then you become victim. So this is the whole consensus of being prepared. Pre meaning before, and paired meaning equally or better than what's coming. So if you're not prepared, you are potentially putting yourself in a position of victimization.
It's kind of like insurance too, because I don't want to pay for insurance, but I have to because I never know what may happen.
Right.
It's a just in case factor, and like they say, I'd rather have it on me and not need it than to need it and not have it.
That's right.
Because you just never know what life.
But look around. Look at all the things that are happening around you.
Man.
And look how many times guns are in the mix.
Man.
So if that isn't enough, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you're right about that. I was watching Let me see. I think we may have a caller. No. Okay, great. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, sir. How are you all doing today?
Great, sir. How are you?
All right. As I said on my comment, you know, we have this new law coming into effect, and it basically is instantly going to just, basically what I feel have the streets flooded with weapons. People who just basically want to feel gangster. Of course, the criminals don't care. They got them already. You're going to have people who are going to feel like they're now empowered. And you're going to have people that, you know, of course, want to protect themselves. So I got to protect myself. Now I can. And my thing is, even though I own a weapon, I pray to God I never, ever have to use it.
I pray you never have to use it either, bro.
Especially towards another black man. But at the same time, there are those that don't care whether or not I'm black. If they want to do something to me, they're going to do something to me no matter what, because I got something they want, or they feel quote-unquote disrespected even though I didn't do nothing to them. So this world is so jacked up now.
Right.
But my worry is the influx that we're going to have and the problems that it's going to cause. And I really fear for our young black men, because so many people are going to start hearing, as was said earlier, without fully knowing the law, without the education that comes along with owning a weapon and carrying a weapon.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a matter of, I almost feel like some kind of way the community, there needs to be some kind of community effort to educate all of those in our community that want to start carrying.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do now. This is the whole purpose of this right here. And I've been speaking at so many different platforms and organizations about this for the past, since 2004 when I moved here. So this isn't something that we just started doing. This is something that's popular now because of some of the recent laws in the past 4 or 5 years. You know, like we say, criminals are going to carry regardless. What we're going to get is ignorant, emboldened, good citizens that's going to start carrying under ignorance, and now we're going to get a whole new group of felons because of this ignorance. We're going to get a whole new, sir.
As well that I learned when I bought my weapon. When I initially was shopping, I wanted to get a 45. But I was told by the salesperson, he said, make sure that's something you want to carry, because I had the intention of getting my car from it at the time. But he said, if you have a weapon of that type of power, and let's say you do shoot someone, but that bullet can go through them and get somebody else in the line of fire, guess what? You just got a charge.
9mm are more likely to go through someone than a 45.
Well, he said, you know, they say watch the calibers and make sure it's something you can handle.
It's you know.
Don't just go for the big gun. Make sure it's something you can handle. I mean, you got guys out there carrying the Desert Eagle 50 caliber. Right. And that's a lot of guns.
Right.
You know, for 357, that's a lot of guns. But you know what you got. You know,
yeah, you're right.
So, because you get yourself in more trouble.
Right. Well, you're looking at, in that situation, you're looking more at ballistics than you are at caliber. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry that person told you that without giving you the full story. I definitely wish you'd have came to me. I'd have told you, get that 45.
That's what I got. Hey,
don't worry about what happened.
I feel you. Melvin, I'm so glad you called, man. So glad you called in and raising some very good questions. Yeah,
definitely.
So. Yeah. Thank you so much, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Right, thank you,
man.
Now, I have an idea about this. Back to this resisting arrest thing, and the way that it seems that physical abuse is not an issue for law enforcement to pass out. Regardless if they know they're in the right or in the wrong, because when you have what I would consider to be an incentive called administrative leave,
or qualified immunity,
it's almost like, well, I mean, if I want a vacation, I just go whoop somebody and get in so-called trouble, but I'm still getting paid.
But it depends on who you are now, because if I remember, I'm not going to mention the department I was with, but I got into a scuffle and I put 3 people in the hospital who I'm trying to break up a fight. Then 2 of them try to jump on me from breaking up the fight, and I put all 3 of them in the hospital. I got suspended with no pay.
Well, I'm not going to say.
All right, so
the fact that you look like me.
Right. So what we're looking at is, if the administration start properly busting up this old cultural mentality. I tell people all the time, if you're a police officer and you're arguing with somebody, you're in a situation, you are the trained individual in that equation. And you have more responsibility than that other person. You know, and if it get to the point where you can't handle it, you got the ability to call backup.
Yeah.
So step on out, step away. Know when to say when. But a lot of them with that whole ego, they don't want to let go. They don't want to let loose. It's like, I call it a dog on the bone mentality. You know, and it could be something small, like swerving.
Right.
And it go from swerving to what? Somebody getting beat near their life because they don't know how to de-escalate themselves.
And it's never about the whole reason for being pulled over or being in an encounter with them. It's never about that. I mean, like you see, you could be jaywalk, you could spit on the ground and they stop the hey, that's not right. And then it turns into something totally different.
Right.
I was reading also, it was another case where a young boy riding a bicycle, he either got beat or killed by officers because he was riding the wrong way. He was riding the wrong way. I just looked at it a little while ago. So, you know.
Well, selective enforcement ticks us off. You know, we like, oh, well, folks do this all the time. And man, what you tripping on, man? All I did was jaywalk. Well, my thing is be above reproach. You know, one of the things about like the self-defense law, first thing, component of the self-defense law, you can't be illegal in any shape, form, or fashion in order to participate in the self-defense law. So what type of argument do you have when you are breaking the law? If you're breaking the law and you get stopped for breaking the law, or they pause you, and then you say, man, folks do it all the time, or man, we do it all the time. Come on.
Right.
That just means that eventually you're going to get caught. And when you get caught, take it on the chin and keep it moving.
Right.
But arguing the fact that you wrong, man, that's some adolescent dumb stuff. That's crazy.
That's exactly what that is.
In pretty much in any situation or instance to where the police approach you, you are considered a criminal, because if you're pulled over for no blinker, you broke a law. So now you're looked at as a criminal.
Well, in the courts, it's what? Innocent until proven guilty. In the courts. But on the street, it's guilty until proven innocent. All right. So if you do have some type of violation, because man, it's a violation. All you got to do is keep your cool.
Listen.
And stick to what's going on, because, you know, they will try to play the okie doke on you and be like, you know I stopped you for, not having your lights on. Where the dope at? And it change it on you. Where you coming from, where you going. You keep it on track, keep your cool, and keep it on track.
You know, one of the reasons that we wanted to do this show tonight is because we know we've seen what happens especially with a lot of these shootings that's happened. And it's been happening, but now we just have cameras to kind of capture it. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that our community is safe. And we're not, I don't want anybody to think that I'm anti-police. In fact, Brother JC is a police officer. So we're not anti-police, but we are pro-community. And, and the police are a part of our community, as well as our brothers and sisters in our community. So this information that you're getting, this is the kind of stuff that we need, that we need to share with our friends. And if you missed it on WVOL, you can always go to the Brothers Roundtable or the Black Family Talks Facebook page and listen to this show and share it again, because this is the information that we need in order to save our brothers and sisters' lives. And like how Brother JC said, you know, survive the encounter and make, you know, because we can argue it in court. You know, I ran that light or I didn't run that light. We can argue this in court. But if I'm arguing on the street and, you know, you have this confrontation where I'm murdered, then we can't argue that in court. That's just, that's you in the ground. So what we want to do is make sure we listen to this information, give this information to your brothers and sisters, and let people know that this is the kind of thing that we need to be able to save our lives. And that's what it's about.
That's exactly what it's about. We've got a guy here just said, Raphael Crawford, he said, you guys need to do a part 2 on this topic.
Speaking of that.
And we agree.
Yeah. There is going to be a part 2 next week. And so we're going to also have some other really qualified people in here. And I want to say they're with what's the name of the group? The
Middle Tennessee Black Gun Club.
Yeah. And so we're going to have all of that next week. So we do want to invite you back. We always love to give our guests the last few minutes to kind of tell us what you think we need to know, the takeaway from this conversation.
You know, one thing that I've noticed in my journey as an instructor and a speaker is that, you know, repetition. We know the Oscar Mayer song because we heard it so much.
That's right.
We know Rapper's Delight because we heard it so much. We need to be listening to stuff like this more often so that we know it. We have to know these things. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to guess. We don't have to assume. These are things we have to know because it will save our life.
Yes, sir.
You know, so if you have any questions, you want me to come out and speak to your people, to your organization, you can reach me directly at 615-669-1558, or you can email me at jc@jcshegog.com. That's jc@jcshegog.com.
All right. Before we get out of here, we want to give a special thank you and shout out to everyone that helped to make our Parkwood Juneteenth celebration a success. And that's all the way from the mayor to the deputy mayor to the councilwomen that came in from District 2 and 3. We are so thankful, and not just them, but the everyday people that got together and did this for our community. We're thankful to our brothers from the Esquires, the distinguished gentlemen. We're thankful to dads. We're thankful to Nisa and so many other people that helped. Made Men Cleaning Service. And then what was the tour in there? What's that? That's Made Men Cleaning Service. So many other people. My brother Darryl Howard for donating a lot of the food. Thank you all so much. And we look forward to doing more things in the future. If you want to be a part of what we're doing, go to the Brothers Roundtable on Facebook, and we would love to bring in as many brothers as possible and sisters as possible to come out and do this work together. This is all one big work, and we're in it together. So thank you for listening tonight. We're going to do part 2 on Wednesday, and that's it. That's all we have.
Again, we'll see you all next week, next Wednesday. Peace, family.
Peace, family.